This one has not been opened. It is still in its packaging. So, the title of this one is Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward, The Art of Ishgard, The Scars of War. So each Final Fantasy expansion has 2 art books. So I own both for this one, which is Heavensward, which was the first expansion. I own both for Shadowbringers, and I own one for the most recent, which is called Endwalker, because they haven't released the second one yet. I don't own any for the third expansion because, not gonna lie, didn't really do much for me. It was still good, but just not as good as the others. So, I did put a pair of scissors down somewhere. There they are. Let's see if I can get into this without destroying the book, shall we? Pray for me. My gut wants to just literally slice through the back. Aha, there we go. That's all we need. It is free. Actually, there's a little piece of paper, isn't there, on the back that I'm going to just... Gives you a bit of a preview. And look, I get a very cute little Heavensward minion, which will mean nothing to you if you've never played the game, but if you do, and you have played it, you know. So, quite a striking cover. This is a very pivotal character in Heavensward, one of my absolute favourites. I will also, before we begin, just remind you of spoilers. Many spoilers. If you have not played the game, haven't gone beyond the first part, and are planning on it, do not watch this video because spoilers. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I'm going to have a sip of tea. Clearly I have not engaged my brain today. Okay. So yes, beautiful rendering of, I'm going to say his name, Estinian. Quite a spectacular helmet. No one's really sure how he's supposed to see through it. It is a mystery. But it looks really cool, and that's the main thing. So, oh, I like that if you fold it out, oh, look at that, you get the whole. And this armour is insane. You can actually get this gear in the game with all of the spiky bits. So our boy Estinian is what is known as a dragoon. So he jumps about with a very big lance and stabs things. It's a very fun class to play, but I suck at it. So, let's open this bad boy up, shall we? Patch art and characters. Ooh, so what I might do actually is I might just remove the sleeve. She says, as if that was the easiest thing in the world. There we go. Sorry, that was a mess. Professional as always. So, now, we begin. So I don't know if I've mentioned, but the they released the main expansion. That is the .0 patch. And then subsequently I'm not quite sure how frequently, but every, I think maybe 6 months or so, they release a new patch, which, as you can see here, is a point patch. So you'll have a .1, .2, .3, .4, and finally .5. So this is As Goes Light, So Goes Darkness, patch 3.1. And already we have a pretty spectacular spread here, with some absolutely beautiful colours. I love how desaturated everything is, apart from these flashes of red and the striking figure here of our dragoon in the middle, who just really stands out with that wonderful royal blue. And it really is beautiful to be able to just, if I can, zoom in here for you with some of these details, because my goodness, it's the kind of art that I would absolutely love to be able to create and just do not have the patience. This little kitty cat here, this is, I mean, I can never say it, but it's spelled Kate Sith, but I'm assuming that's not how it's pronounced. But yeah, that's a pretty decent start. I'm just gonna zooms out again a little bit. There we go. Zoom's the technical term for zooming. Oh, yep, another beautiful piece here. So this is another character who features very heavily in the first game, which is A Realm Reborn. Her name's Minfilia. She's got these very hefty braids. They must weigh an absolute ton. Could be used as weapons. But I love all of these shapes surrounding her because they don't really make any sense. They're just jaggedy, viney bits, but they just look really cool. And what looks like some sort of, looks like a crystal here. Ooh. She's also bound, so she's not having a good time. Patch 3.2, the gears have changed. Well, that was a very quick patch, my goodness. And then patch 3.3, Revenge of the Horde. So this, I think, is the patch artwork that they would have released. As I said, I wasn't actually playing the game when this expansion came out. I didn't start until Stormblood. Then I disappeared again for like 4 years until I started again when Shadowbringers was old. So here's patch 3.4, Soul Surrender. Again, so much going on here. We've got some other characters in the background. These guys do pop up quite often. Lovely bright white in the middle, drawing your eye and illuminating just slightly some of these outer characters. And then patch 3.5, The Far Edge of Fate. And we've got some key characters here. That is quite possibly the derpiest looking thing I've ever seen. He's supposed to be, I think, our Warrior of Light, which is the name of your character. But in all of the sort of promo and the trailers and things, it's always this generic male character, because, you know, Snore. And I think he's been called Meteor, so I don't know if that's him or not. But you've got Alice, Alphino, you've got Ida, and Papalimo down here. And what looks like a guitar, or a microphone. I'm assuming that's not what that is. Like I said, it's been a long time since I played Heavensward. It's been like nearly 3 years. So yeah, you'll have to excuse me if I don't remember everything. Oh, here we go. So we've got some character art here, some of my favourite concept art. So this little lady, she is I was going to say potato, but that's rude. She is what's known as a Lalafell, which is a race in 14. And I call her Creel, because I don't know why, but Cryle just sounds kind of edgy, too edgy for this cute little bean, so I call her Creel. Her name is Creel Baldesian, and she wears this little hood with cat ears. I don't know why. And I didn't know how cute her hair was, I don't think, until literally Endwalker, which is the most latest expansion, because she's always got the hood up. So when I saw that was what her hair looked like, I was very excited. But she's very sweet. This idiot is Thancred. Not one of my favourites. He's a bit of a I don't know what they did to him, but they made him look super duper weird. This was like his emo grunge phase. Usually he's just like embarrassing dad vibes. But in this one they were like, yeah, let's try and make him cool and fail miserably. Sorry. I'm pretty sure this is when he changed jobs as well. He was a rogue / ninja. I think actually he was just a rogue. And then I think he switched. Or was he still? No, I think he was still a rogue here actually. Yeah, no. He was still a rogue here. Excuse me. Oh, my boy. Amric. Yay. Love him. He was awesome. Thordan. Trying not to swear, he's not very nice. He's the main antagonist of the expansion. Ysayle, I loved Ysayle. She was fantastic. I wish we'd found out a little more about her. She was a wonderful character, and that's what set, I think, Heavensward apart for me from the other expansions, is how much I loved all of the side characters, all the NPCs, like this guy as well, Edmond de Fantôme, excuse my French. He was like such, whereas Thancred is embarrassing dad, he was awesome cool dad vibes. I mean, look at him. You wouldn't mess with him. Look at his thigh-high boots. You do not mess with a man in thigh-high boots. Then you've got Yugiri. Now was introduced in Heavensward, but she features a lot more in the follow-up expansion, which is Stormblood, but she was pretty cool. Matoya, yeah, grizzly old witch lady. Is there any other kind? And then you have Minfilia, who, yes, Minfilia, basically useless, never really a huge fan of her. One of really what is very few female characters in the game, but yeah. And I don't remember being that tall either in the game, but yeah, these plats are just interesting. Yeah, and she looks properly pissed off there. We have the Griffin. Again, he is more of, I think they start, well, the way the patches work in 14 is that I think from patch 0.3 they start building up to the following expansion. So a lot of these characters were going to be featured more heavily in the following expansion. Don't remember them being in it, but if you've ever played a Final Fantasy game, then you will know Vivi and Katzith. I know that's not how you pronounce it, but I have no idea who this is, but I think, if I remember rightly, I think these guys were part of the Alliance raid that came out for Heavensward, which I believe was the Void Ark series, which is not my favourite. Estinian. He does not look like that in game. He's got very thin, sad little lips. Ardashir-Balik, again, maybe to do with the raid, I don't know. And a cute little Makote, because why not? Donjon, so we're going to see hopefully some very fun environments in this one. Yep. St. Mosian's Arboretum. Mokien? Shrug. So these guys are an enemy that you find quite frequently in Final Fantasy XIV games. Can't for the life of me remember what they're called, considering how many of them I've probably destroyed. But let's read the little snippet down here for funsies. St. Mosian's Arboretum once housed the greatest collection of flora and fauna the realm had ever known. Alas, in the wake of the Exodus it was left to the elements, and the wildlife within now roams its halls unchecked and untamed. A band of treasure hunters hopes to brave this leafy labyrinth in search of a cache more valuable than gold, one that could ensure Idleshire's prosperity for years to come. But will their search of this savage garden yield fortune, or end in favour? It's doing so well. Excuse me, tea time. So here's a few more shots. Got some of these dungeons honestly are so pretty. So this one you've got sort of like a pondish, swampy vibe. And look at some of these monsters. These are fantastic. Got the Billowco, Queen Hawk, and again, zoom in. I can zoom in. I do have that function. Zoom in on these two. The details and the colours. And on this one here, the belladonna. Because I think at first you don't notice that there is a woman or a decidedly humanoid shape here in amongst all of this vine and flowery lumpiness. Very descriptive today. I'm sorry, my vocabulary seems to have abandoned me. To have a bit more. There we go. I haven't done this dungeon in a long time, so I don't really remember it very well. And we've got some gear sets. This is probably the gear that you get from the dungeon, because when you do a dungeon, occasionally they will drop specific gear, and you get people who are so obsessed with getting a piece of gear that they will keep running that dungeon until they get it. It's completely random, so you could be doing it several thousand times. If you're unlucky, I think I've got that coat. I think I've got that coat for one of my healers, I think. But yeah, again, very fun. The hats are stupid. I play Viera, so I can't wear a lot of the hats, which is fine, because if they look that dumb, then I'm not that bothered. But glamour is very important. So next up we have Fair or Serious Heart. I'm not going to read every single one of these because we have that much to get to, and I've already been talking for nearly 20 minutes. So I'm just going to skip ahead. Oh, we got some monsters. Construct 8. Oh, I love the way people can create like the effect and the illusion of like shiny metal. I can't colour metal to save my life, but this one you can tell that it's sort of old and it's not quite as shiny, it's not as lustrous as it could be. And then we've got the living rock here. Again, love the coloration. It's like orangey tinge to the rocks on its back. You got this guy who's just orange slimer basically. Pogonitrix. Sure. And then we've got the 8th Order Patriarch Bigu. These guys are cute. Next up, the Anti-Tower. Oh. I can't remember why, but I feel like I have to run this one loads and it was annoying. I might be getting confused. Like I said, it's been a while. But yeah, quite a striking look to this one. Very almost kind of Inception Cathedral. Cute little guys on the corner here. Little wind-up fellas. Oh. Yes. Creepy doll Calcabrina. Apologies if this is spooking you out a bit too much. Yeah, she's a trip. She's a peach. Yes, I feel like now I remember why I was farming this dungeon over and over again for a particular weapon. Boohis. Did not enjoy. The Lost City of Amdapor, hard mode. So sometimes they'll take a dungeon that already exists and they will just make it slightly more difficult. She's beautiful. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, this is interesting because these two are very much used, the designs, in Shadowbringers, and I didn't realise that they had actually been used in the game before. That's actually really interesting. So in Shadowbringers these are known as Sin Eaters, and that specific design, that's actually now a mount in the game. Look at the colours on that moth's wing. Oh, it's got such a cute little face. It's mean that they make us kill them all, really. Sorkai. Here be dragons. So this is where we battle the quite epic dragon Hraesvelga. I'm good at reading. And there he is. He's such a good boy. One thing about Final Fantasy XIV dragons is you either love them or you hate them because they don't look like your archetypal dragon, which is amazing. But if you like your archetypal dragon, that's probably not going to do it for you. But he's awesome. We love Hraesvelga. And you got whatever that is, an enchanted fan, because why not? I mean, if you can have a Pokemon that looks like a house, then why not an enemy that looks like a fan? Some more weird and wacky designs. So here are some of the outfits it's from this particular dungeon. The Wrangler attire. Now, if this doesn't say cowboy, I don't know what does. Then you've got very monkish design, and then this set's actually very pretty, and I used this for my Red Mage for a long time. It's a very nice set. Hullbreaker Isle, hard mode. This is probably one of the side quest dungeons, because some dungeons are not actually necessarily ones you need to do. There are story quest dungeons or MSQ dungeons which you have to do in order to progress, and then there are dungeons that are optional. Zelfatol. Yep, stuff. This one I think was actually really pretty. Yeah, this one was fun. I liked doing this one. Oh, I love the colours on this bird. Look at the crazy thing going on here with his face. Yes, it was all also kind of set up in the sort of rocky crags with these wonderful wooden platforms, and there were lifts and things. It was, yeah, the imagination and the design in all of these dungeons is incredible. Like, look at that. Look at that. It's amazing. And then, I mean, there's this guy. Not quite sure how that works. I mean, is it part of his head? Is it his helmet? How does it stay on? Tozzle. Huatotl. Moving on. The Great Google Library hard mode. Yep, so as it states, it is indeed a library. I don't know why I said it like that. Let's read this one, shall we? It's relatively short. Your reputation clearly precedes you as a mysterious client would call upon you, and you alone, for the formidable task of retrieving a particularly rare volume from the deepest, most forbidding halls of this long-abandoned storehouse of Charlayan wisdom. Though the mind boggles to imagine what eldritch horrors and sorcerers' ambitions now wander its halls, one thing is certain: they are not like to take kindly to the presence of a warm-blooded would-be book burglar. That's one thing that's wonderful about the game as well, is a lot of the items and the places all have these descriptions which are usually very pun-heavy, and you get rewarded basically for reading everything, because there are some absolute gems of lore that are just so random and kind of make you think, what? Did I just read that? Of course, I can't think of any examples right now, but a lot of the quests and things will have puns as the title. Just to give an example, because one just did pop into my head, there's a class in 14 called Blue Mage, and every time I think you hit like 10 levels, you get an achievement, and the achievement title is called Dabba-dee, as in, I'm blue, dabba-dee, dabba-die, which is just delightful. And yeah, there are nuggets like that sprinkled all throughout the game. It's wonderful. Here is Baelsar's Wall. This is where one of the, I think, most memed and sound clipped quotes comes from, which is the enemy that you're fighting. For some reason, I think he has a northern accent, and he just goes sloppy, which out of context is hilarious. So yes, so once we get to Baelsar's Wall, we start moving into more of the Stormblood story. So very Magitech heavy, which is their sort of their technologically advanced systems. Magitech, so anything that looks mechanical, very industrial, it will be Magitech. And Magitech was made by the Garleans, who are the big bads, or one of the big bads, because there are obviously many. So we've got armoured weapon, Magitech slasher, and here's the gear you get for it. It's pretty bonkers, although that's quite cool tank gear for Gunbreaker. I quite like that. The only downside, however, to the gear from dungeons is for some reason they're just not dyeable. Which, what the hell is that? I mean, that looks like kind of Creole, but, you know, wrong. I Somehow hard. Pretty sure this is where we fight Nidhogg. Might be. He'd be another dragon. He doesn't like us much. So again, very dragony. So Volcano, Anala, Ogoro, Lava Scorpion. I mean, some of the names are a little bit on the lazy side, but they are absolute nightmare fodder. Palace of the Dead. Oh, yeah, Palace of the Dead is a very different type of dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV. Because, I mean, it's what's known as a deep dungeon, because there are 200 floors. Each floor can have between like 3 and 7 rooms, and once you start getting to the higher floors it gets more and more difficult, and if you die you have to start again. It's very unforgiving, and there is an achievement in the game called the Necromancer for doing the Palace of the Dead all 200 floors solo without dying. It's like one of the most hardcore, I don't know what you'd call it, hardcore things to do in the game. And this is the kind of the main character from Palace of the Dead. Her name's Edda Blackbosom. Let's call it Bosom instead. Nibeth Obdilord. Lol. And some other stuff. Trials. All the trials I think were quite fun for Heavensward. Containment Bay S1T7. Now I completely cheated and I did all of these unsynced, which basically means that these were level 60. I went and did them level 80, which meant it was a lot easier. Say Sephiroth. This one was apparently a very hard fight when it first came out. Jeez, look at those arms. And somebody did not skip leg day, well done. We have Containment Bay P1T6. Now, considering, as I said, I did this unsynced, so usually you'd have 8 people, and it was just me and a friend doing this unsynced. My god, did we have trouble with this one, because it was one of those ones that had a mechanic where the platform would just move, and we just were useless at figuring that out. I say we. Moving on. So yeah, here you go, here's the platform. And you'd have to pay attention to the surroundings, because it would tell you which way you'd need to run before the platform moved. It's fun. They are trials for a reason, and I'm talking extreme trials, but yeah, pretty lady. That's one thing you will notice in Final Fantasy XIV. All the women are slender and beautiful. The men come in all shapes and sizes, but sadly this seems to be it for women, because of course that's the only acceptable type of woman, am I right? Boo. Yeah. Looking for some. In fact, I think that the old crone we saw earlier might be one of the only like older non-slender females actually in the game, which is sad. But don't get me wrong, that is stunning. But you know, after a while you do kind of get bored of it. Containment Bay Z1T9. They really went all out on the names of these ones. I believe the story for these involved something called the Warring Triad. Now, I didn't do any of the story because I'm that kind of person who skips it. That's right, if it's not part of the main story, I skip it. You can hate me if you like. I have far too much to do to sit and read and listen to lots and lots and lots of waffle. And the final steps of faith. So as you can see here, we've got Big Boy Nidhogg and what looks to be a very unhappy looking Hraesvelgr. Underneath, let's read this one. Imbued with Hraesvelgr's last sliver of hope, you stand at the forefront of your allies as the last bastion against the raging shade of Nidhogg. Have you the resolve to conquer the great worm at the height of his power, or will Ishgard perish in fire and ruin? Here, on the battle-stricken steps of faith, your deeds shall decide how the final verse of 1,000-year dirge of grief and vengeance will be sung. So I'm pretty sure these are just screenshots they've just made look like paintings. Cheats. But oh, lights in Final Fantasy XIV is they have different phases. So he'll start off looking like this, and then he'll phase shift, and he'll look like this, and he'll do different things, which is fun. So these are the memoirs of Count Edmond de Fortemps. So like the idea was, if I remember rightly, the cool-looking father figure guy from earlier, he writes down all of the sort of annals of the events that occur throughout Heavensward, all the wonderful things that the Warrior of Lights does. Shadow of Mach. So these are, this is the Alliance Raids series. So another form of content which is considered extra, but more recently they've been making them kind of story-based. Or these are no more. No, I'm pretty sure these are the Alliance Raids. Yeah, so the Void Arc again is technically optional content, I think, but it's worth doing if you like a bit more of a challenge, because these are what is known as a 24-man raid. So there are 3 parties of 8, and you all have to work together, which makes for some absolute joyful chaos. Look at the state of that. Now once again, I did not do any of the story for this. I got bored and stopped reading. So I have no idea what any of this stuff is, but it looks really cool. I mean, there's some coffins here hanging down. But this, I love when you have like a very cool blue palette, and then you just slip in some bright, sort of, that is like a, that's not red, that is like magenta, and it just really stands out. And then you've got the stark black of the Void Arc, I assume, and the castle here. This is something I'm really bad at. I absolutely suck at values. There's even, I think, sort of little bat creatures up here, and the little structure on the top. That's our mount, which I have, the Hybodus. That's one of the bosses from the first one, which is the Void Arc. So yeah, each Alliance raid is split into 3. The Void Arc is the first. And I like this one, was quite cool because it had a real organic kind of theme to it. It felt very, I want to say juicy. Like the walls almost kind of look like the insides of you know, a person. Which is groovy if you like that kind of thing. He's one of the bosses as well. Fun mechanic with that one. You've got 2 different bosses that you have to fight simultaneously. Excuse me, I'm just picking the hair off my microphone because it's going right up my nose. Oh, yep. Yep, can't pronounce that. I think a lot of this was inspired by, it might be Irish mythology, because there is a lot of heavy inspiration in Final Fantasy XIV from myths and legends from around the world. I'm just going to point out that yes, that is a mouth across its stomach, just in case you missed that. But yeah, look how funky this looks. That almost looks quite kind of cyberpunk. More of the details. It's very interesting. Again, you're so kind of distracted by everything going on, you don't see that there's actually a figure. And these things here are actually her arms. This is Echidna. Now this was some of the most beautiful armour that I've come across. Not all of it, but this one was one of my favourites. This is the fending armour. So fending armour is for the tanks. And my Dark Knight currently wears this armour, almost the full set, because it is, as you can see, gorgeous. I don't know why these are in black and white. It's a shame, because it's almost like a beautiful, like really, really dark blue, or kind of black, with like purple accents. It's absolutely stunning. This one's also gorgeous as well. I have the black mage version, which is not white, it's black. I do feel bad for healers because they basically get the black, they get the magic DPS armour but dyed white, which kind of sucks. This is really cute little concept art here of Aura. it John Constable? I don't know what his first name is, but a Constable painting, you know, the ones that from like around England from the like I think it's like the 1800s, and there's usually like a hay wagon or something really ordinary or a cow in it, and it's like, yeah, no. Slightly different. This one's cool. Almost got quite Horizon Zero Dawn vibes from this one. Sort of the way everything's like overgrown, but you've got the structures in the background. Crazy mental monster, crocodile, or alligator. That looks more like an alligator, because that makes sense. That's also technically now a male, which I have. Oh, Forgal, it's actually a dude with these horns are cool. I like those. I feel bad that he doesn't have legs though, and I'm not sure what this is. I think he's sitting on something. Then we've got, you know, futuristic pyramid, because I'm sure that makes sense if you've actually bothered to follow the story. I think this is where one of the boss that trips a lot of people up, which is Demi-Osma. I actually quite like this fight. But again, just every single different environment is just mental when you see it from this angle. Like, you don't actually see the whole thing, you're obviously standing on a platform, which is why it's wonderful to be able to see how the artists imagined it before they created it. And Calafisteri, again, you're so busy not dying that you don't really get to see and admire the details, but you see what I mean though. Lady, and pretty hefty though, which is nice to see a strong lady, but still, you know, pretty generically shaped. But you know, that is still a very cool design. I do love the wingies here. The armour in here was again very intricate, but not my favourite. I think I've got that one. I mean, flares, man. Fantasy flares. Not something you ever thought you needed. And then Dunscape. Everybody hates Dunscape, because everybody always dies. Death Gaze Hollow. Wow. Now, wouldn't you just love to take a holiday there? Looks like a good vacation spot. Wow, I don't even remember seeing that enemy. That is insane. Look at that. It's something. It looks like something out of it's a video game called Alice Madness Returns. I'd half expect to see that in there. That's horrifying. And you look at this and go, oh, isn't it pretty? And then you see that there's more weird, creepy, vomiting teddy bears around the edge. Diablos. Yeah, this guy. One of the most annoying fights, I think. Just takes ages. I love the wing design though. The shape of it. I can almost imagine the art style when you're coming up with a design that's just so mental like this, rather than actually sketching it out. You'd probably just block in shapes and then kind of draw around it in that really kind of organic style. I'd love to try that. I used to do it quite a lot and it was quite fun. But yeah, you can almost imagine that they were just playing with paint strokes and just creating shapes and seeing what they can make out of it. I could be wrong, but it's, that's nice armour. Apart from the helmet, because it's dumb. I don't want to cover up my girl's face, she's pretty. That's nice armour. That, however, is dumb. Why do they always give the magic users blooming top hats? God. I mean, jeez. So you've got this amazing looking gear. Oh, the helmet. God damn, I might have to actually go and do Dunscape and see if I can get that. That's amazing. And there's more concept art, right? Alexander. So, other than Alliance raids, each expansion will also have a series of normal raids, which are the kind of more basic, and then they will release later on the same raids, but much much harder, which are known as savage raids. And that's for the real hardcore players. If you do savage, then you're nuts. Because you need a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and more often than not, it's helpful to have an actual group, as opposed to just joining randos, because that could get interesting. Let's see what it says about Alexander. Although you succeeded in destroying the core of Gordius, it seems that was only a temporary measure. The walking fortress has stirred once more, and its left arm now rests on the banks of the Thaliac. The entrance lies open and unguarded, suggesting the goblins inside are as surprised as you. Take advantage of enemies' unreadiness and face the Illuminati threat once more, hopefully for the last time. So another theme in Final Fantasy is that they will reuse the same big bosses. So Alexander is this big, he almost looks like a building, and yeah, a lot of these enemies will have been used in previous Final Fantasies. They will look a bit different, but they do like to reuse, which is quite nice actually. It's a bit of a nod, and it is always fun to see the different concepts for all the same monsters. Again, very industrial looking setting here with these quite hideous looking needles. So I believe the idea is that we were inside Alexander. Again, no surprises, I did not follow the story on this one. So raids are a bit different, the normal raids, because there's actually 4 fights. And then they will release another 4 fights, and then later they will release another 4 fights. I believe it's only 3 groups of 4. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so they call them raid tiers. So to complete a raid tier, you have to fight 4 battles. And then eventually there'll be more to fight. That's why they're pretty hardcore. But love the difference in the colours, because it almost looks like they're the same area but with the green and then the yellow. It gives a really different feeling to both those images. That almost feels quite warm. You can imagine it quite fiery, whereas this one feels just kind of poisonous. But again, using the light beneath the shapes here to create that idea of depth. Something again I really suck at. And then you've got cute little pig-nosed doohickeys. Lots of mechanical contraptions. I can admire these, but they're never my favourite designs. I'm always more of the sort of natural, animalistic, organic creatures. Although the wings on those are pretty. Now here's the gear. It's quite nice. Again, some of it will be undyeable. I think the only gear that was dyeable was the Savage gear. So we've got Alexander the Creator. So yeah, each fight had a different name. Faust. I'm gonna skip through a bit quicker because it's been 46 minutes and I've still got, I think, half the book to go. Are we at halfway? Oh god, just over. Yeah. Might just move it along a little bit. Wow, those bjorns. That fight was annoying. I never quite learned all the mechanics for it. It looks really fun there. It kind of looks like an arcade-esque, like, you know. But it was not fun. Much death. Cruise Chaser. He is now a mount that you have to pay an absolute fortune for. I love the overall style of this one. It's very sharp and pointy. It's very aerodynamic. Showing you this is how insane they get, because obviously these things move and function, so they show you how everything connects and works, because it goes from being what looks like a sort of very sleek looking ship to this guy. So like a transformer essentially, they have to actually work out how it works. Radiates, who is also a mount, I believe. this gear is pretty nice, and I do like when they have gear that is kind of coherent, and you can definitely tell that these are all part of the same set. And they're showing you, I think here, slightly different dye options. Flares again. Moving on. I'm gonna have to stretch my leg, excuse me. Just take my packet of crisps. Ow. Idleshire is one of the cities in the Heavensward areas, and we've got lots of swords. Now you'd think a sword is a sword, right? Handle at one end. I know it's a hilt, I'm just being annoying. Hilt at one end, pointy bit at the other, but look at the variation of these swords. I mean, they're ridiculously unwieldy and it would never work probably in real life, but they are hella fun to look at. So these are all the paladin arms and their shields. Paladin being a tank. I mean, again, the designs on these are stunning. And the variety as well, from the more kind of traditional shaped shield to the round ones here, and so good. So he's a monk. Well, it says pugilist, but pugilist becomes a monk. So these guys do punchy stuff. I think I've got those for my monk because they glue. I do like glue weapons. Marauders who become warriors. At the moment, my tank of choice, because it's the easiest one to play. Dragoon arms, or as it's known here, Lancer. That's beautiful. I love that one. That one's creepy because it's got a face on it. The archer or bard's arms. I mean, they're just ridiculous. They look really dumb, most of them. Like the better designs are definitely, for me personally, are the more simple ones like this. Because when you whack out this beast, you just, it looks really quite stupid, personally. Oh, I've got these ones for my ninja. These ones glow crazily. It's like purple. It's amazing. I mean, how is that a rogue's arm? I mean, compare the size between like this one and that one. It's not really subtle, is it? Conjurer's arms. So I'm trying to remember which one Conjurer is. Is that White Mage? It might be White Mage. Again, some very beautiful designs here. Look at that one with all the folded wings. Beautiful. They usually do a competition in Final Fantasy XIV every now and then for people to design weapons, and I've never done them before because I've never really kind of been paying attention, but I kind of want to have a go. The next time they do them, I will be terrible because I'm not very good at this kind of design weapons, but I'd love to try it. Because I mean, look at these. Thaumaturge, I'm right, this is Black Mage. Look at this one, it's got like 2 lanterns in it, and then there's a moon here. I'm pretty sure I've actually got this one as well, again, because it's got very pretty glows. But the flow, the way that the design just, I love it. When I don't know how to explain something, I just end up going, I love it. And again, so the Summoner and Scholar weapons are essentially just books, but look at that. They're just all books, but how spectacular are the details in this. I mean, this one's got a quill coming out, this one's got lights and crystals, this one's literally on fire. And you've got this one's demonic one down here. They're just beautiful. Absolutely stunning. More feathers, they do like feathers, but I guess it makes sense if you're writing all of your spells down. Dark Knight arms. I'm hit and miss with Dark Knight weapons. They're always a bit too bulky for me. A bit too chunk. Machinist. Because yay, guns in a fantasy setting. These are pretty cool though. That pistol's fun. Jeez. Astrologian's arms. It's a very pretty weapon, even if it doesn't make sense. And then we've got some gear. I did have the Hellfire gear for a while. That's beautiful. This one's very pretty as well, actually. I don't think I've noticed that one. Again, some of these I think will be dyeable, some won't be. That one's lovely. You see quite a lot of people wearing that one. Excuse me, just moving my leg back. That's nuts. That's what I wear for my astrologian. That's my bard gear, but it's not that colour. This is quite fun. Ooh, that's nice. Lone wolf attire. Ooh. I might have to make a note of these and go and, that looks like a rat. Hang on. Literally, I saw that. Ears, eyes, nose. It looks like a rat. I'm sure that was their intention. Oh, too far. Ooh, wait, there we go. The helmets are a bit nuts. Yeah. I think the magic user gear is always probably my least favourite. Yeah, it's just not nice. That's hilariously boring. These are quite pretty. Oh, I'm a sucker for all these details. Just decor and bustle. Yup, just basically Victorian lady. And there is literally every type of fashion in this game you could possibly want. Expeditioner's coat, expeditioner's tabard. That's beautiful. These two are lovely. So soft. I love that style. And then you've got very, very Japanese inspired, but very, very cute. Another good thing that they've started doing in the game is they've started unlocking gear. So what's the way of they're no longer gender restricted. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah. So basically, if you want to dress your Catboy in a maid outfit, you friggin' go for it. If you have a non-binary character who likes to, experiment, then have at it. It's slow. They're getting there with it. There are still quite a lot, and also you can be a pig. Yeah, they're getting there, but not all of them are gender unlocked yet. But they're getting there. This is beautiful. Love these. That hat though, woof. That's stunning. Oh, I love this style. That almost kind of blue tint to the white fabric here. Oh. That's a cute bunch of... Yes, now, funnily enough, this outfit here, the top half anyway, I really want to try and make this. It's basically, I think, supposed to be like a check shirt, but it looks more like a skirt that just happens to have a couple of sleeves on it. Whether I'm going to be able to make it or not, I have no idea. If not, I'm just going to cheat, and I'm just going to tie a check shirt around my waist with a pair of suspenders. And then, of course, Starlight, otherwise known as Christmas. So yeah, if you want to get festive, this is adorable though. I love the details on the little pouches, which I'm assuming are here and here. It's so dinky. The boots are pretty amazing actually. And then you've just got jacket and skirt, jacket and trousers. As I said, the variety of styles in this game is quite insane. Never a fan of the songbird jacket, but it is quite popular. I think this is one that you have to buy. Then you got some armour from old characters from other Final Fantasy games. I'm pretty sure this is, I think his name is Zidane from Final Fantasy IX. I'm afraid I didn't play really anything prior to 10. I was a bit of a latecomer to the Final Fantasy series. Then we've got some accessories, blah blah blah. Housing, one of my favourite things in the game. I do have an FC house that I have spent quite a lot of the time decorating. So yeah, you can get an apartment. I do have one. So yeah, so there is housing in 14, and if you're lucky enough to get a house, then you can decorate it with all manner of things, make it look however you want, and it's a very, very fun and addictive part of the game. I have to say, I very much enjoy it. Oh, and some of the things people create, it is absolutely nuts. Oh my god, so this guy is called a Picer, and yes, you can build a house that looks like that. Some people use it. Got a boat. We like boats. So these are some of the housing items. Pretty little archway for outside. Orchestra roll, this is fun. So if you have one of these in your house, you can pick a song and you can play it. So long as obviously it's in the game. Sadly, there's no option to create like a whole playlist. But, you know, that's pretty. It's a fairy chandelier. These are the two fairies that you use if you're playing as Scholar. So yes, this is some of the housing items. You've got a little chair made out of Moogle. Very pretty chandelier. A coffin, you know, if you want to live your best vampire life. Mounts and minions. So mounts are another one of my favourite things in the game to get. Some of them are very difficult. I tend to only go for the ones that are doable, so you can dress up your chocobo. I think they had some of these in the last book we looked through. That one's cute. The ones that are hilarious, the ones that give your chocobo arms, they just look so daft. But yeah, again, if you're familiar with Final Fantasy games, you will very much recognise the chocobo. They are in every single Final Fantasy game. They will look slightly different. Oh, the Firebird. I remember when I first played the game, I wanted this so much, but it was difficult to get because you would have had to have completed all of the extreme trials and got all the mounts for them in order to get the Firebird. So I didn't get that until I started playing again. There you go, there's the little birds. These are beautiful. Some of my favourite mounts in the game. It looks like it's pooped that out. But yeah, sorry, distracting myself. So yes, I was then able to get my Firebird when I started playing again a few years later. And of course, why not have a chair underneath a big fat Moogle? It's literally called Fat Moogle. Oh, it's delightful. And then you got this thing, which is literally a little airship that you just stand in. So dumb. And these are some of the minions. So minions don't really do anything. You can just pick one and they can follow you around. So these are the minions based on characters. This is little Herald Svelga, just a little guy that I'll be able to unlock with the code. Yeah, there we go. So oh, that one's pretty. I've got quite a few. Fenrir is one of my favourites. These are some of the trial bosses. Again, monsters that feature very heavily in Final Fantasy XIV. They've like Titan, Ifrit, Leviathan, Garuda, Shiva, Ramu. Yeah, they are very, very common. Love the hunting hawk. Look at a little piggy. There are so many minions in the game. It's ridiculous. I think there's probably like 400, if not more. And then you've got some optional ones that you can get from different games. So you've got Yuna from Final Fantasy X, Lulu, I forgot him for a second, and Riku. Oh, and an Operate. How unusual. See, an Operate's feature again very heavily in Endwalker, so I'm surprised to see their design in Heavensward. But so here we have additional art. So this is, I'm assuming, just going to be random stuff. So these are from PvP, which back in the day sucked, and it sucks slightly less now because they gave it a massive overhaul with the latest expansion. It's now quite fun. They have events in 14 where you can do like a little side quest, and then you can pick up like additional items that will become available later, but you have to pay for them with real money. So it's always worth doing them when they come up. So this is All Saints Wake, their version of Halloween. You probably didn't need me to explain that because it's pretty Halloweeny with old Jack Pumpkinhead here. Starlight Celebration, here you go. go. So if you want to know how old the game, this expansion is, if I move it down a little bit, 2015. So I would assume that the expansion itself probably came out in 2014, maybe. This one's cool. Let's flip it around. This is New Year's 2016. That's the Kieran mount again, one of my favourites. Classic mount. Little Ladies' Day. I'm not quite sure what that one's supposed to be for. I think there might be a celebration in Japan which is sort of based around sort of celebrating ladies. Obviously we don't get that in the West. Got Valentine's Day. No surprise it's Valentine's Day. Hatching Tide. Easter. Make It Rain is a 14 specific event which is all to do with their in-game casino. Yeah, this game literally has everything. So there's another All Saints Wake there. Moonfire Fair again is more my god, they're the Power Rangers. Are they dabbing? Oh my god, they are actually dabbing. The Rising again, more of a 14 specific event. Starlight Celebration, New Year's, Heaven's Turn, Valentine's. So yeah, so there's a new expansion every 2 years, which is why there's quite a few. Oh, this is cool. So this is the 3rd anniversary art by Tetsuya Nomura. And I want to say that, I'm probably going to be wrong now. This guy did the art for Kingdom Hearts. I might be wrong, but it looks very Kingdom Heartsy, and I definitely know the name Tetsuya Nomura. But yeah, so that's cool. So you've got, I want to say that's Emmerich, not 100% sure. Ysael, Alphino, Estunian, Chiffon, and Don't Need You. Oh, sorry about that. Hitting my glass. And there we go. So you got comments from the art team. Envisioning Eorzea. Artist A. Chiyama shares a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into creating the background art that adorns Eorzea. Step 1, design request. So they obviously get told, we want this please. Step 2, rough sketch, which is this bit here, so this is quite interesting actually. Step 3 is the line art, so they'll pick an overall design and then they will refine it, picking out smaller details. Step 4 is colouring, pretty self-explanatory. So they do a values layer first, which is all in grayscale, add the base colours, add a bit more shadow, and then they add highlighting. This is quite a standard format for doing art for this kind of concept. And then the detail will be adding, finally adding all of the extra details. There's an artist Q&A, which is very cool. And there's my code for my little Railsvelga. And there we have it. We are done with the wonderful Art of Ishgard. What was this one called again? It was called Scars of War. She remembered, all by herself. So thank you so much for watching another one of these. As I said, depending on maybe my mood and maybe the reaction in the comments, I'll either do another one of these or we might take a break and I'll pick another art book, because you guys might get sick of seeing Final Fantasy XIV on this channel. Thank you again for all of your comments and support on my previous videos. It may take me a while, but I do eventually get around to reading, and I very much appreciate them so much. I hope you're all doing well and are having a very relaxing, pleasant evening, or whatever time of day it might be. And as always, I will see you again